What are some double standards that don't involve gender? When I was a little kid, if I left my toys out and one of my parents stepped on one, I got yelled at for leaving my toys all over the place. But if my parents left their tools out and I stepped on one, I got yelled at for not watching where I was stepping. The world is so complicated and confusing until you realize the people in it are imperfect. It really clicks when you realize a lot of them are really dumb as well. I always find it amusing that when I purchase chemicals for my company, I can order some real crazy crap, or stuff that can be used to make synthesize crazy crap, without raising an eyebrow or having to submit documentation or business records because hey, we've got an account so it must be legit. But when I order good old 99.9% ethanol, which is really cheap for us because it's tax exempt since we're using it for industrial purposes rather than drinking it for entertainment, there's a mountain of additional paperwork attesting to the above. At my workplace we don't have to question some of the things people buy. We do try to anyway if they're sketchy folks though. But on things like acetone, there's a long form that people need to fill out when they could just go to Dollar Tree up the road and get the same strength stuff for roughly the same price, at the same quantity, without all the hassle. Employers who expect you to stay late for hours of overtime on their whim but get mad if you're even 5 minutes late in the morning. If I'm flexible for them, I think it's fair to be flexible for me. Such a nitpicky thing to destroy morale when it's already so bad from being forced to work late. Luckily that was my old job and I'm in a better place now. I'm lucky my boss doesn't kick up much of a stink about me as long as I work my hours and get my work done. Haven't got to work on time in over 2 weeks. Finished early every day and my boss said I'm doing a good job. Thanks, I enjoyed my sleep in and afternoon nap. Cities and states telling us to conserve water by watering less. Some people comply and they end up getting fined by their city for having a dead or dying lawn. City and state buildings have the greenest lawns around because they water round the clock, early morning, high noon, and in the evening. Half the sprinklers are usually overspraying in the middle of road. And, of course, water rates go up because the waterworks is selling less water but expenses are the same. Rabbits and any other pet. I had a black mini Rex and she was the most intelligent rabbit I've ever had. She was litter trained, did tricks like standing up, kisses and came when you called her name only as long as she felt like it. But whenever I'd talk about her to people like they talk about their dog or cat, people look at me like I'm mad. People always ask each other about how their dog or cat is but start talking about a rabbit and they lose complete interest. When I told them how much I spent on the vets a few times she's been ill, I've had some people say why don't you just get a new one? Because it's a living thing. Another rabbit we got from a pet store turned out she had some problems and the manager of the store said why don't you return her and swap her for another one? Oh, how about frick off? She's a living creature that didn't ask to be here. Some people need to understand that there are a lot more to rabbits than meets the eye. I have 5 pet rats and get the same reactions. Someone already said it but I think it's because people are more likely to relate to a dog or cat story than a bunny or rat one. If I finish a 9-5 and want a glass of wine after work to relax, that's perfectly normal. If I'm working a night shift and want a glass of wine after work to relax, I must have a drinking problem because it's 8 AM and I'm opening a bottle of rosé. You're supposed to drink Bloody Marys before 10 AM. Once the clock has 4 numbers on it, all bets are off. The need to respect your elders, even when they abuse that privilege and treat young people disrespectfully. If you want respect, you need to show respect. Something I saw a number of years ago. Sometimes people use respect to mean treating someone like a person and sometimes they use respect to mean treating someone like an authority. Problems exist because of the 2 different meanings. Student athletes at most D1 schools can get away with almost anything academically, but any other student having so much as a slip of paper out on a closed book test gets reamed by the school. I've mentioned this before, but when I was in high school, a member of the football team got caught having sex with a girl in the bathroom. She was expelled. He got 3 days suspension. You could argue that there's a gender element at play here, and there may be, but I suspect that if it wasn't an athlete but just some average schmo, they'd both be out of there. Professors will have very strict due dates on students but will wait until the last week of the semester to finally give back our grades from our first presentation. Yup, Just had this happen. A class ended. The entire school has final grades due by Monday night. They didn't show up until Wednesday. Some people walked at graduation without knowing if they passed their final classes or not. As someone with anorexia, when I tell people about what I've gone through and my struggles, people are often sympathetic and say I'm strong for fighting. My peers with binge eating disorder are often met with recommendations to go to the gym, just don't eat, and disgust or judgment for being lazy. It's all the same emotional struggle, yet the level of support is so freaking different. For all the crap Reddit gives binge eaters and the obese, they say frick all about other eating disorders. They don't care about bulimia or anorexia, because those aren't as visible. It's never been about health for these people. That's just an excuse they learn to justify their disgust at fat people. The federal government putting marijuana at the same level as M, C, and H. Meanwhile, alcohol and tobacco are available in stores everywhere. At my old job, there was this lady in her 50s who would say whatever was on her mind, even making fun of the managers or policies during meetings for everyone to hear. Yet I, 22F, say one sassy thing and I need to learn to watch my mouth. Yep, seems fair. Tenure does tend to count for a lot. In the military, an E7 or higher can dish a smack down to a green officer, with varying degrees of tact, that would earn an E3 or below an immediate Article 15. 18-20-year-olds are developed, mature, and intelligent enough to vote, signed themselves up for thousands of dollars of debt in the name of education, join the workforce, and fight and maybe die in the military, but they can't drink alcohol, smoke, or gamble because they're too underdeveloped, immature, and ignorant. If you live in the US, I'm in Australia, and at 18, you are legally allowed to do pretty much all adult things. Oldest children never get away with anything, but they see their younger siblings not getting punished for the same things they would have been excoriated for. I'm the oldest of 3 and I'd get punished for stuff my siblings did. Heck, I'd get punished for desperately trying to prevent my siblings from doing something dumb or trying to fix whatever they had already done. If a dog doesn't like someone, that person's character is questioned immediately. But if a cat doesn't like someone, the cat's just in butthole. Have had dogs and cats, love them both, so not looking to start a cats v. dogs argument. Managers berating you for doing a bad job when they have absolutely no idea how to do your job. Classic. Managers manhandling your job description. If they can't find something wrong, they don't believe they are doing their job. Same people have no idea who they are outside of work. Kids are wrong no matter how right they are, and adults are right no matter how wrong they are. Also how respect works. Kids are not punching bags. You respect them if you want them to respect you. Nah, truth is everyone is wrong. For some reason it's okay to binge watch TV Netflix all day, but I spend the same time playing video games and I'm wasting my life. I'll take that one step further. Not okay. Gotta get home to do a raid with my guild tonight. Okay. Gotta get home. Game of Thrones is tonight. When you burn a body at crematorium, you're doing a good job, but if you burn a body at your house, you're destroying evidence. Yeah, but you only run into that double standard once or twice a month. If the government owes you money, it can send you your refund any damn time it wants to. If you owe the government money, you can bet there will be interest and penalties added. If the IRS holds onto your money too long, they will pay you interest, and then the IRS will charge you tax on that interest. It's okay for old people to be bigoted and close-minded because they grew up in a different time, whereas young people are just considered ignorant a-holes. Which is why I refuse to acknowledge he's just set in his ways as an excuse. No, he's just stubborn and refusing to change. Now, if they have a legitimate memory problem like Alzheimer's or dementia and aren't in their right mind, that's different. They actually cannot help that. TLDR, having kids versus not having kids. A good friend and co-student and I are in very similar situations. We both started studying medicine after 8 years of working in the same hospital. He's married, I'm live with my girlfriend. We both have to take the train about an hour. 45 minutes for me, 1 hour for him. to get to our university. We both had a lot of problems in our first year, especially with chemistry and biology. I recently asked to have one subject shoved into a later year, so I have more time to study anatomy and other important subjects and refresh my knowledge of chemistry to then be ready for biochemistry, a subject most med students struggle with. I was able to change my entire curriculum the way I wanted. Granted, having to study 1 or 2 semesters longer because I have a 3-year-old kid. They told him that his situation is not severe enough to grant him to study longer than usual, even though it could easily mean he won't be able to fulfill his dream. Charities for kids get funding. Clean water for kids. Clothes for kids. Food for kids. AirPods for kids. But try to get funding for adults. Kids are seen as innocent, but adults just need to stop being lazy and get a job. Adults sometimes get stuck in impossible situations through no fault of their own. Having a job isn't a guarantee that nothing bad will ever happen to you. We'd have less kids in need if we helped the adults and their families and communities. The other one is drug addicts. Everyone says they should get clean, and they should, but people treat addicts in recovery just as bad or worse. No one wants treatment clinics in their neighborhood. It's hard to get a job already, and if you have to go to the clinic every day, people find out that you are in recovery, getting off drugs, and they don't want to talk to you. I work with people in recovery and there's so many hoops to jump through just to get and keep treatment services. I think that anyone who wants to get clean deserves support and respect. It is a very tough road. Spending an hour playing a video game as a kid is a bit much and will melt your brain. Meanwhile, the parent saying it has been in front of the TV for the last 4 hours. Worst of all, 1 hour of those 4 hours was watching advertisement. In my freshman LA class, our teacher put my best friend and me next to each other. This was a teacher who was very monotone, like was never interesting to go to her class. I was trying to be a good student, but one day she yelled at me, for a reason so dumb, I can't recall. This teacher also really liked my friend, so we decided how double standard she was. She had a strict policy of not putting your head down in her class, which is dang near impossible to do. She would just randomly tell us to read from our library books when she didn't feel like teaching. With this knowledge, me and my friend decided to put her to the test. Recall, we arrived next to each other. We both, in the exact same way, put our heads down on our arms. She walked around the opposite side of the classroom, thinking we wouldn't see her. She finally showed up behind us. That's when she tapped on my desk, stood in awkward eye contact and silence, and said, "Keep your head up and read," very sternly. After this she walked away. Within a second or two, my friend and I just died of laughter as she turned around and yelled at us for talking during reading time. This isn't the only time we have done this. She walked around the opposite side of the classroom, thinking we wouldn't see her. Sounds like she had the logic of a 5-year-old. This is gonna get buried, but as a gay man I find it really hard to be taken seriously in a professional environment. I make one joke and I'm the office clown, the gossip, the flaming queen. But my straight peers in the office get a quick laugh and back to work. I've noticed it everywhere I work. People apply this expectation that gay men are there for comic relief. This can be advantageous at times, but when you're actually trying to get a valid work point across, it can be infuriating. There's been times where I've felt I could be listing Holocaust victims and people would be cackling, telling me I'm too much because that's all they know, have seen of how to interact with homosexuals, particularly homosexual men. I've reached a point where I stay as quiet as possible in working environments unless addressing work head on. I think this is because of Hollywood. The way Hollywood portrays gay men is horrible. They are always very flamboyant and are pretty much only given comedy roles. You almost never see gay characters that have serious roles in TV shows or movies. I think it has a serious effect on how people perceive gay people. People will have a drink or two every single night because they need it to relax, and it's fine because it's at night. But if I open a drink at 3 PM as my first drink in a week because it's my day off, I clearly have a problem since I am day drinking. Don't listen to that blasphemy. Day drinking is the best drinking. Being bilingual, specifically speaking English and another language, In most of the world, I'm considered intelligent and sophisticated if I speak more than one language, even if I speak with an accent. In the States, speaking a second language, especially if I have an accent, gets me disrespected as a stubborn, non-acclimated immigrant. Adult, rude to a kid, nobody cares. Kid, rude to an adult, oh my god, what a horrible child. Clearly the kid was not taught manners. Or I tease the entire generation that messed up. The thing is the child may have been rude to the adult was because the adult was rude to the kid first. Or maybe the kid wasn't rude and the adult thought the kid was rude. See kids who don't say mom or sa or kids who say mom or sa and the adult is offended. Toxic cycle. My mother shamed me for paying a subscription fee for World of Warcraft. She buys PaySafe cards for her online Farmville-like games on a monthly basis. Don't need to tell you that it's way more than the $15 I paid. Streaking. At what age is it no longer okay to be naked only wearing underwear in public? 1-year-old 2 or 3 1785? Not to mention naked baby photos. I think the general rule is, if you need someone else's help to wipe your butt, you get a pass. If a 18-year-old single woman wants to adopt a kid, there's no way. She's not mature enough. She definitely doesn't have appropriate financial security. Can she really be trusted to keep up with a baby's needs as a single parent so young? Meanwhile, if a 18-year-old single woman is pregnant and doesn't want a kid, she can be forced by the government to keep it. Definitely think the adoption system needs to be reformed. I'm 27, an engineer, and I still can't adopt a kid because the fees are astronomical. I get that raising a kid is also expensive, but $250,000 spread over 18 years is a heck of a lot easier to manage, especially in my career, than a $30,000 plus lump sum at one time. We are expected to sympathize old people being poor, but not give a crap about young people being poor. Can you imagine saying to an old person, well, you shouldn't have had kids, to them saying they have no money? That rural people are hard for talking about hardships, while urban people are weak for talking about theirs, and it's their own fault for living in urban areas. We care so much about urban poor than we do about rural poor. Wealthy countries got wealthy off destroying their environment, yet they complain when poor countries want to do the same thing. They even get shocked when poor countries ask for compensation for conserving their natural environment. Nearly all criticism about politicians that are not related to policies. For example, everyone likes experience when it's a politician they vote for, but one they don't like, and all of a sudden experience means they are part of the establishment. When there's a bombing shooting in, say, Kenya, Pakistan, Iraq, etc., with 100 plus dead wounded, everyone be like, oh god, that's really bad. When there's a bombing shooting in, say, France, Belgium, etc., with 100 plus dead wounded, everyone be like, OMFG, what a huge tragedy. We should really stop it. Let's pray for victims. I'll put a French, Belgian, etc. flag on my Facebook profile pic in order to show my feelings. If I want something small, I'm a selfish bee. If my family members who only visit when they want something want me to drop everything for them and wait on them hand and foot, that's perfectly fine. A pretty common one that I'm sure will get buried, but being a teenager in general, I'm expected to be an adult in every situation. I can drive. I can drink. Mostly. Heck, I could get knocked up if I really wanted to. I'm supposed to get a job. I'm supposed to be responsible. Yet at the same time, I'm only a child. I have a curfew. I have to ask before I go out. I have to raise my hand to go take a crap. I can't wear headphones when doing schoolwork. I have to wear a specific set of clothes every single day. I don't get any say in what I do and don't learn. Someone needs to freaking pick a side because I'm sick of being told I need to start thinking about my career once I leave school. I need to get a job. I should start taking responsibility etc while still having to let a teacher know when I need to use the bathroom. Just realized that gave hella rebellious angsty teen vibes. I don't wanna feel like a child anymore though. It's confusing and makes me feel like a stupid kid, lol. My favorite example is gatekeeping. You have a lot of people who are self-proclaimed nerds and geeks. that when they encounter another nerd or geek they try to test them to see if they are a real nerd or geek, and it's freaking stupid. While the most famous example is comic book readers, I've seen it more in the role-playing community. Guy meets girl. Girl likes D&D 5e because she plays an elf called Daisy Deshane. Guy gripes about why this elf character is dumb and doesn't make proper use of her stats and why she should be playing Pathfinder and such and shut the frick up. Just let people enjoy the hobby. Stop trying to bully people because it wasn't popular when you were in middle school. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.